Blog Talk Radio.
Namaste, everyone. This is Andrew Fisher, host of Nature of Reality Radio. It is May 27th, 2015. We are exposing the true and false nature of reality for what it is and what it isn't every Wednesday from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Today on the show, we have Lily Earthling. I recently listened to that interview she did, something about exposing the Matrix on Expose the Prison Planet Matrix was the name of the YouTube channel. Didn't listen to her interview with Michelle Walling. I wanted to listen to that interview, though, but Gaz Stone, the guy with the British accent who was on that interview, he was indecipherable for some reason after they uploaded the interview. It's the second time Michelle Walling has uploaded an interview with a guy with a British accent, and it was indecipherable, and some of the other people in the comments were complaining about that. But anyway, enough of that. I believe Lily is in the queue here, area code 303. Lily, if that is you, I will definitely get you on no later than 10 after the hour. You are a very interesting average human. Well, it says average human, but you're certainly more than average in that you're very interesting, that you have reconnected to Mother Earth. This connection has helped you to communicate with Mother Earth directly through feelings that are then transformed into messages. You have incredible insights into the true reality we live in and how we can do exactly the same. These insights will help us realize who we truly are and the power we all have to change the earthly experience for the better. Her site, well, she doesn't really have a true website. She has a page on Facebook that's in the description here. There is a chart that she gave me that I will be reverting back to many times throughout this interview, I'm sure. But first, as usual, we are going to start with the news, courtesy of Alex Jones and Company at InfoWars. And by the way, folks, I just want to point out there are some thunderstorms moving through my area tonight. I asked my guardian angels and spirit guides to make sure that the power does not go out. They were with me that one time with the interview with Jim Fetzer when the lights flicker. Oh, there's the thunder. The lights flickered when the computer screen got a little dimmer during my interview with Jim Fetzer, but the power did not go out and the computer didn't shut off. I guess maybe I can take that as a sign that my guardian angels and spirit guides are with me to let the interview go through. Hopefully they'll do the same with this interview with Lily Earthling. If not, then hopefully we'll continue on at a later date. But we'll try to get 2 hours in here. But first, the news, courtesy of Alex Jones and Company at InfoWars. First article, gun control group to seize public by hiring paid actors for hidden camera experiment. Anti-gun group also reportedly ignored gun laws in filming fake video. Yes, paid actors involving guns. That's what we had with the Sandy Hook incident. Those people, a lot of conspiracy theorists don't want to talk about it. They say it's really not something you should discuss whether or not the people were actors. Well, when it's obvious, you can talk about it. It was so obviously a staged event, and the FBI documents say nobody died at Sandy Hook because the FBI says no one died in Newtown, Connecticut, during the times that Sandy Hook happened. So if the FBI says it, well, then it must be true. Being sarcastic here, obviously, because the government lies to us so much. But if anybody wants to say nobody died at Sandy Hook, make sure you show the documents from the FBI that say no one died in Newtown during the time that Sandy Hook happened. And now this gun control group, it's obviously a whole deception thing. No doubt they have connections to the powers that be, I'm sure, hiring paid actors for a hidden camera thing. If we lose the Second Amendment, we lose everything. Remember that, folks. Next article, Summer of Rage, more riots coming soon. Elite has contrived conditions for mass unrest. Yeah, with Jade Hellman all coming, this may be a crazy time. The powers that be are getting desperate. They're losing power immensely, and it has been said by some that you will see tyranny in crazy ways, but don't get all panicky and nervous, folks. That's just a sign the powers that be are getting desperate, very desperate. So they're going to try to impose tyranny on us to keep their control over us, but they're only postponing the inevitable. Karma will come back to haunt them. They've been cannibalizing themselves since the end of the Mayan calendar, according to Carl Johan Kalimann, October 20th, 2011, that day when massive timelines came together. And since then, they've been cannibalizing themselves. All right, next article, Flyer Flags Upside Down. America is in dire distress. Let everyone know with the Save America Flag Upside Down T-shirt. I'm not so sure who's wearing this. I've heard some stuff about schools getting really pissed off at students who wear flags, saying that it's discriminatory to wear American flags in schools because the minorities aren't going to be happy about it. You gotta be kidding me. So are the Mexicans in Mexican schools not allowed to wear Mexican flags because the Americans would be pissed off? I don't think so. All right, next article. Neo-feudal USA, the death of democracy. In neo-feudal America, The financial aristocracy and political elite are judged under a different set of laws. Well, I think I should criticize the person here for saying death of democracy. We don't want a democracy because a democracy that's two wolves and a sheep deciding what's for dinner. We don't want a republic where the minority has just as much a say in deciding the affairs as the majority. There's basically two governments. The minority, excuse me, what am I saying? There's two governments. There's the oligarchy and the republic. And America is in so many ways more of an oligarchy now than a republic. And yes, the political elite and financial aristocracy are considered above the law, it seems, in so many ways. Our next article, NSA can identify you by your smartphone handwriting. Agency has Lockheed Martin technology to monitor finger swipes on phones. Yes, the NSA, they can do all sorts of things, spying you through your appliances, track and monitor you with your bodily light and heat emissions. The Gwen towers are also involved in that. It said they have bases on the moon by some people like ET contactee Alex Collier. And when it comes to handwriting, yes, everybody's handwriting is in some way different, just like fingerprints are different. And I suppose that's something they can use to identify you. Farusha, psychic, she's a handwriting expert. We didn't really get to talk about it much in my interview with her, but she has talked about how handwriting can be used to tell a lot about a person. So if anybody wants to research that, sorry I didn't get to talk about that in my interview with her, but I'm sure she has some other interviews where she talks about that in greater detail. I think it's, I don't remember what handwriting analysis is called, but free to check that out, folks. Next article. PacSun pulls upside-down flag T-shirt because it hurts someone's feelings. Oh, my God. Didn't I just say something about this earlier? A veteran explains why displaying a U.S. flag upside down is not disrespectful. Okay, I already talked about this earlier. Don't need to talk about it again. It's absolutely asinine. It's all designed to nanny-state us and put us in control, and don't go along with it, folks. All right, secret meeting in London to end cash. Next article is central banks aim to institute governmental approval for all purchases and sales. Yes, if there's no cash left, there are fundamental implications for freedom. If you can't use cash as a backup, well, you really can't buy anything. I mean, the power elites have said they want a global electronic currency. They wouldn't want to get rid of cash entirely because they would need to continue an illegal underground market. So they would keep cash in circulation, but you would have to go through all sorts of invasive procedures to get it. And there isn't any paper money in America anyway, no dollar bills. If you look on dollar bills, you will not see anything with a date later than 2009 on it. They're still making coins with dates past 2009, but not any paper money. They just want to get as much digital money out there as possible. And, well, I've been saying many times on my show that people are saying that the ETs watching over us are going to lock up the evil powers that be and release gold-backed currency. And Karen Hughes, that World Bank whistleblower, she has talked about how there's plans to release a gold-backed currency. And Benjamin Fulford of the Dragon Society, he's talked about how there's plans to release gold-backed currency. A lot of people don't trust Benjamin Fulford, but well, I don't know what you make of him. I'm not going to hypothesize or anything like that. But and also Andromeda Council contactee Tolek, he said his ET contactees have told him that for about 10 years or so, we'll be on like gold and silver-backed currency, and then eventually we'll get to no money at all, so we can be like all the other ET races out there that don't use money. Alex Collier says we're the only ET race that uses money in the Milky Way that he knows of. All right, one last article here. NATO general warns Putin is a dangerous gambler willing to use nuclear weapons. There is a real danger China will realign itself with Russia politically and militarily. Yes, Putin, he's a puppet to the powers that be like Barack Obama is, but still they duke it out with each other. And Putin, he's very arrogant, doesn't want to go along with the powers that be, and they're kind of cautious with him. So, I mean, there's the BRICS nations trying to do their own thing. The powers that be don't want the BRICS nations to do what they are planning to do with gold-backed currency and such, to dump the dollar. But so it's all a sign that the powers that be, there's a lot of infighting among them, and hopefully that'll work out nicely for the human race. So that's enough of that. I'm going to get Lily Earthling on right now. Lily, Area Code 303, you are on the air. Is this you?
Yes. Hi, Andrew.
Hey, glad to have you on. And, well, see, Psychic Sean is here in the chat room. Glad to have you on. And, well, like I said, there's some thunderstorms out. It's raining kind of hard. I do hope the power doesn't go out. If we suddenly shut down or so, then we can safely assume that that's exactly what happened. If that's the case, then when the power does go back on, I'll send you a message on Facebook, and then maybe we can pick up where we left off at a later date. Now, I would like to
Sure.
talk about that chart that you sent me, because you didn't want to send me a picture of yourself. You wanted to send me that chart. But before I do that, it only makes sense to have you talk about your life story in regards to this, about how you reconnected to Mother Earth. I know you've talked about it in previous interviews, but hey, it only makes sense to let you preach to the choir yet again, because if we don't, we're not going to have anywhere to go through with this interview. So by all means, talk about how you've reconnected to Mother Earth better. And just out of curiosity, why did you want me to not call Mother Earth Gaia? Do you believe that's a bad name to call Mother Earth?
Well, I guess I'll go ahead and say it. Gaia is the name and a language of the Draconians.
Oh.
That so they call this planet Gaia. It is a Draconian language. Ah. And it is a Draconian name for this planet.
Okay, thank you for getting that out of the way. Okay,
and, and just the reason why I don't like to use it is because it is not the Draconians that respect this planet. It's the ones that want to harvest it and use it. The Draconian language, I mean, we're getting into it. Melanie from CCN has a Dragonology series, and she talks about the languages a lot and how all languages, and especially English, is actually a Draconian language.
All right, thank you very much.
We have a lot of our words that are Draconian words.
All right, glad you.
And Gaia is one of those.
Right. Oh, thank you, Psychic Sean here in the chat room telling me that graphology is the name of handwriting analysis, and you say you do it yourself. Oh, yeah, that's right. Maybe we did talk about that on the show with you, so if anyone wants to learn more about that, check out my interview with Psychic Sean Cohen. She was my first ever guest. You're a very popular person, Lily. There's a lot of people in the chat room here, a lot of people with actual names, so hopefully we'll be able to get some chatting going on here in the chat room. But like I said, I want you to talk about your life story. It says you have incredible insights into the true reality we live in and how we can do what you do and help us get out of this matrix and change the earth and realize we're all infinite. So tell us your life story. You got the floor.
All right. Well, I am a typical person. I'm an immigrant from Ukraine to America. Had a, strange childhood, just like most of us. and a lot of weird things were happening when I was a kid, and I was able to see a lot of feel a lot of energy within people, and one of my biggest memories that I have from childhood is being a pastor of a church that my parents were going to, and I went with them every Sunday, and seeing in his energy field a good 9 to 10 feet being standing over this person, feeding on people's energy in the church. And I am about 5, 6 years old at that time, and I was able to see all that stuff, what was happening energetically. Andrew, are you still there?
Yeah, I was on mute. Sorry about that. So.
Okay. It was just so quiet that I thought maybe something got disconnected.
I'm thinking. Wait a minute. You couldn't have possibly stopped there if I wanted you to tell my life story.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, by all means, continue.
No, but then life moved on, and I sort of given up on that because it was not something that was accepted. Seeing energy and seeing beings in other people's fields were not something that people even talked about. And so I moved on from that and sort of blocked that, and until about 10 years ago, things started changing in my life while I was living in America by that time. Started changing drastically in my life, sort of fell apart. And I, just like with many people, wanted to find spirituality. I wanted to find something that would be the right thing to do spiritually. I wanted to find my spiritual self. And so I just went on a learning journey and started reading a lot of books, started reading a lot about New Age and all these spiritual teachings and religions and everything that I could get my hands on. I would just read and study, and I would get, really deep into some things that I've connected to, and I would get really deep into that teaching and learn everything I could, buy the books that they were selling, or, all of that stuff I've done, and I kept getting to the dead end with every one of those teachings, and everyone who was, talking about ascension and higher frequency and new earth and all of that stuff. I would just dig into it so deep, but by the end of it, I always felt like there was something wrong with it, that it was not real, it was not alive. It was like a dead sort of program, that it didn't have any life within it. And, all this techniques for ascension and this and that, all of it just felt like a computer program. It didn't feel real. It didn't feel like it had any life in it. So I connected with the planet sort of on accident. And it was because I love nature. I always did. And that was my sort of heaven on the planet when I was a kid, is the nature was my friend. It always was. And I knew how to communicate with nature in my own way when I was a child. So a few years back, when I got so disappointed with all this ascension teachings, and I felt like it was something so wrong, it didn't just feel like it was dead. It felt like it was a big trick, that there was something so deeply wrong with it. I was so disappointed. All I could do is go back to nature, just like when I was a kid. So that's what I did. I just went back into nature, and I had my sort of spot in this beautiful spot where I just go all the time, and there's old trees there, and I would just spend hours and hours and hours in nature. And I went through emotional release, because I felt so like there was no way out of this trick that was being played on humanity, and I felt hopeless. And one day I just realized that the planet had actually communicated with me. It was just that I was so busy running through these programs and learning all about this programmed sort of spirituality, that I didn't see it, and I couldn't communicate with the real alive being that is this planet. And I realized that everything on this planet is alive, and it can communicate if you connect it to the energy of it, which is the life force that is given to every living thing on this planet. So the tree has a life force, and every one of us have also a life force that is given to us by the planet. There's all these other layers to who we are, but the main thing that we are here on the planet is this living physical being. And so I realized all that stuff, and the more I spend time in the nature, the more I've lost my belief systems. And the more I started connecting to the energy that is the life force of this being that is the planet as one, because we are part of the humanity. Is just like, like trees, like the animal kingdoms, we're part of this planet. And so I wanted to reconnect more with the alive part of me that was part of this planet. And all I did is it came from my pure intent. And I kept spending time in nature, and every day, a little bit more and a little bit more, I started to understand how nature communicates. And then as the whole planet, I started communicating through my own energy that is given to me by the planet, because all of that energy is one as this planet Earth. And so I tapped into that sort of feeling that is my life force within me. And from that, things started to make sense. What is happening with the planet? I also did state it to the planet that I wanted to know where this planet is taking us, because I knew we were on the journey somewhere. And when I tried to find what the journey was, I thought maybe it's ascension. Maybe we are going to ascend. But the planet was not giving me that confirmation. What it did, it actually showed me how ascension was a trick, how it is an invasion, how it is of humanity and our energy and this planet. And it was a little crazy. Nobody sort of talked about this stuff before, a few years back. And then right now we have a lot more people that are connecting to this and tapped into their own feelings, just like I did, and tapped into this planetary body as a mother, as a connecting energy that we can tap into and receive information from the planet. A lot of people, every day, there's more and more people that are saying to me, and I know there's a lot more that are not saying anything, but they say, I did not know what to call this, but I had the feelings, and they were coming from inside of me, because the planet is waking us up to this very important period of time that we are in from 2013 to 2023. It is very important time right now for us. So,
damn straight. Continue.
So the chart that I give you, it's something that I started putting together because the most important for me was I needed to know, as a collective humanity, where are we going? I wanted to see why we're here on this planet and what is the ultimate goal. And so I started, that information was coming to me. I mean, it took years to put that graph together. More and more information, and everything that would come, I needed confirmations, because I wanted to be sure that this information is correct. And then I also had some other people telling me I am getting the similar information, similar numbers, and for a collective humanity. So this is why, once I knew and got so many different confirmations that this is where collective humanity is at, this is what that chart is all about. And so I wanted to know the history of, where did humanity came from, and what is our mission here on the planet? Why did planet takes us on, and why do we incarnate here? And this is what I've got. It is because this planet is a biogenetical light being. So it's in my other interviews, I've had given this example. When we exist in external light existence, it is like a school where we go from first grade, which is the higher dimensional beings, like the 12-dimensional light beings. That's a first grade. Then you go to, 7 dimension. That's your, 7th grade. And when we come to a 3D, this is the 12th grade, a 3D existence, because in 3D existence, as a soul incarnated into a physical level, you're the most fragmented light being. But the thing is that a lot of people don't understand about this planet is this planet is actually a transformation or a healing or, center or a healing planet. Transform from light existence into internal source creation, which is not light. But light comes from internal source. So that's, before Big Bang, whatever the Big Bang is happening, that's internal source externalizing, and in our case, it is light external existence. So we come to Earth to pass exams and move into college, meaning we got to take a path back called return to source. Means that we have to go back and heal our fragmentation, bring all that layer by layer by layer into oneness. But what happened here on this planet and with our solar system, and it goes beyond even our solar system, is that some of those beings, light beings, wanted to experiment and expand their light existence to where they can be the gods of it. So basically what they wanted to do is copy the internal external creation path and sort of do it their own little extended light reality where they can be gods and they can have a longer existence in light. And this is what is the biggest problem here on this planet, is that we've got good 85% of people that are incarnated on the planet are working for this agenda of extended light reality creation, which is inorganic. And because it is extended light reality, it does not have a source of energy. So this can only get energy from people, animals, and from the planet that is connected to source, just like our planet here. So what we've got is we've got people incarnating through the moon matrix here that have programs in their soul. Through their soul, they have programs for this harvesting agenda, I also call a self-sacrifice path, because they enter into a physical reality that is connected to source, and they're programmed for one reason, and their agenda is to harvest as much organic energy from the planet, from themselves, and through themselves transfer that to this inorganic gods and spiritual hierarchy and all of that, all of that astral reality where all of our gods are demigods and angels and all of that stuff. That is a draconian system that is harvesting our energy. And 85% of people on the planet, through the positive and the negative, give their energy, because the draconian hierarchy system will take both energies, the positive and the negative. They harvest both ways. And basically, we are here, most of us here, have a soul programming to just feed as astral beings. That's all we do. Because it's in our program, and we are using our bodies as that source of energy. It's just like a battery for that extended light reality to exist. And each person that is on that self-sacrifice path, because the reason it's self-sacrifice, because you are not taking responsibility and you're not being your equal human being creation. What you have is your agenda is to transfer the organic energy into astral levels. So you have actually sacrificed yourself, your own being, and you are submitted to a spiritual hierarchy that is harvesting, because when you really take a transformation path or the healing path, then it works very different. There is no hierarchy, and everybody is equal. Everything is equal. Everything that is alive is equal to you. So every animal, every tree is equal to you. And this is one of the things that people can't understand in spiritual communities, how that organic, the main reason why this planet is here is for us to go back to the equality. We should leave that hierarchical system behind, because that hierarchical system is inorganic and it only needs us for its energy, for our energy. It doesn't need us for anything else. Any questions so far?
Oh, yeah, a few things to to ask you. By the way, there are some callers in the queue here. I'm not going to be taking calls until 7:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is in about 45 minutes. You guys are welcome to stay here. I'll definitely take you in the order that you in whole time order. But I have some questions first. So, Lily, in regards to the work you did in the Christian religion, it has been asserted by some that Jesus didn't exist. Others say he did exist, but his story has been twisted. My personal favorite and most frequently used source of information on my show is Akashic Records reader Andrew Bartz's, because I feel you can't go wrong with his Akashic Records reading skills, and he was chosen to be a galactic historian. He claims that Jesus was a solar being, a human incarnate of the sun, but his story has been entirely twisted. Among other things, he did not die on the cross. Do you think maybe there is truth to the idea that Jesus was a solar being, his story has been twisted, and the Christian religion, like all religions, is designed to suppress consciousness by making us not realize that we are infinite because we give our power to some higher power?
Well, the Christian religion, all Christian religions, and, well, I'm going to go ahead and say it, all religions, including New Age, are all a draconian system. All the gods and the Jesus that they worship and all of that stuff, it's all draconian beings that are on the harvesting agenda. So that's all it is. That religions, all religions were created to, it's a tool for that, for the harvesting of energy. That's all it is.
Thank you for clarifying that. You love spending time in nature. So do I. Every time it's on the weekend, whenever it's sunny, I go into nature. I sun gaze a lot, even at high noon. I mean, some people say you shouldn't sun gaze unless you're doing it at sunrise and sunset. No, it doesn't matter what time of day you sun gaze. The electromagnetic energy of the sun will bypass the physical, go right to the brain, neutralizes everything in your body for the better. I mean, my vision is fine. I tell that to my mother. She's an ophthalmologist, and even though I've been doing it since last April, 2 Aprils ago, and she refuses to acknowledge that it does not hurt your vision, in spite of the fact that her own son is a living example that what she learned in the ophthalmology community is wrong. Go figure. That's Rockefeller brainwashing for you. But yeah. That's one thing I like to do in nature, looking at the sun. I spend a lot of time in creeks, walk around on trails a lot, even during winter. I this past winter, there wasn't a lot of green around me, but even if it was ice cold, I just went out, and even when it was just dump my head in the creek and let icicles form on my hair. I love nature that much. I do it too. And whenever it's cloudy, though, I usually try to do other things, though, like get into my computer to do Patriot community stuff and all that. But that sort of ties into what I was going to ask you. Some people like Mark Passio in his masterpiece 7-hour talk, New Age Deception and Suppression of the Sacred Masculine, have talked about how you shouldn't spend too much time out in nature. Some people say you think you're going to save the world by going out into nature and meditating in a lotus flower position for 8 hours a day in the middle of a creek with all sorts of green around you. No, you have to do other things. You have to get active. You have to be willing to deal with the electromagnetic frequencies and get on your computers and such and use your computer to get into the matrix and beat the matrix. But simply going out into nature and meditating love from your heart chakra is too new agey, if you will, and is not the the way to go. Now, this sort of causes a little bit of a debate among some people who say you're giving your energy to the powers that be if you think about them and obsess about them too much. Like one guest who I had on my show, I'm not going to name names here, but after I let him on my show, after I did the news segment where I did a lot of fear mongering, so to speak, courtesy of Alex Jones and Company at InfoWars, he was like, "Where are you going with this? Why would you talk about that stuff? You're giving them power when you talk about that stuff." And I told him, "Excuse me, someone who decides to go after the powers that be and fight them and expose them for the frauds that they are, and be willing to use their masculine energy to go after them, is definitely going to have a better chance of beating the powers that be than someone who decides not to talk about them at all and just strictly focus on love-based things like meditating in nature out in the day for 8 hours a day." Okay, well, I've babbled long enough here. In regards to this whole thing about getting out into nature too long and too much, and how you got to draw a balance between getting into nature and getting into the matrix to fight the matrix, what do you have to say about that drawing the balance thing?
I don't do meditation because, being in the nature and sitting meditating and being in your mind, trying to control your mind, it's a waste of time, and it's feeding your energy through the mind, because our mind is where we have the most parasites from astral levels. It is the most inorganic part of us, of our organic being. So, I'm very sort of different people and very outspoken about that. And I'm, all these tricky ways of New Age that, you have to just meditate. When I go into nature, I'm just there being who I am. I don't try to do any meditations or anything like that. I'm just being in the now moment, being one with trees and everything else around me. When people go into nature, or like when people do yoga, and I've seen this, and it almost made me cry. I see this woman on the beach trying to do a yoga, and she has the yoga mat on the sand, and she's doing that on the sand. And I'm like, what's the point of you doing yoga on the beach when you can't put your feet in the sand and connect to the planet Earth? It's same thing with meditation. So Mark Passio is correct. I agree with a lot of his stuff, and then love and light people, they're just having their head in the sand too, You can't just wish that the invasion of humanity did not happen. We've been invaded, and we've been invaded from within. The draconian hierarchical system had invaded us from within. And it's just they've been working on this for such a long time that we're so used to being used as a cattle for energy that we don't even, and if our friends or our, people that we listen to say, wait a minute, something's not right here. The other people are just saying, hey, keep it quiet. You don't want our lives or, be disturbed. People are in spiritual coma. They're put in spiritual coma on purpose, and they're told that everything's going to be okay. You're going to be saved on the end. You're going to get your ascension, or you're going to get this, or you're going to get that. There is no outside help. Every help that is coming from outside, it is an invasion of your spirit. None of that help is a good help, because we are in a free will, even though we don't have as much of it, but it is a free will planet. And for us to give up our free will choices, they have to pull a lot of tricks on us to do that, because we willingly have to give that up and have somebody else use us and abuse us. So people tell me I sound very negative, but I have to reveal this because I see this for what it is. and humanity is being used and abused. If I know in that, don't say anything, even if my voice is weak, I still want to say something and say, humanity, you've been invaded. You've been invaded from within and from outside. Everything that's coming at us, it's coming at us to submit us to be what they want us to be, which means just food source.
Thank you very much, Lily. Talking about ascension, that's a bad word some people say because it's a misnomer. You're not ascending to anything because you're not going above anything. You're just moving closer to a point. So they say it's a misnomer in that you're moving closer to source. You're not ascending above source. Like similarly, some people say time is speeding up. No. That's what it seems to be doing. In reality, time is becoming more and more compressed to the illusion that it is, and that causes it to appear that it's speeding up when it's not really speeding up. But maybe we could talk about that later. But this whole thing about ascension, I suppose I might as well talk about the whole 2017 thing in regards to this, because a lot of people, like in the ET contact community and the metaphysics community, say that 2017 is going to be a great year of humanity ascending into 4D, 5D consciousness and all that. Dollar's going to collapse. We're going to transition into gold-backed currency and eventually no money at all, and we're going to be able to like not have to sleep as much, not have to eat as much, not have to have sex to reproduce. We're going to not so many other things. And well, you have to be skeptical about this because I know we've been down this road before, and many people have given dates and time periods when we're going to be ascending into a higher dimension of consciousness. And I'm not going to get into that. I've gone into that with previous interviews, but for the sake of time, I'm not going to name all those people and say what dates and times they said, but I'm sure many people can name some names off the top of their head. And I had some people on my show, and I'm going to have a few people on my show in the future who have talked about those dates. But the whole 2017 thing, it has been asserted that will be a time of great transition, and in reality, it all depends on what the human race makes of it, and how the human race makes the most of the timeline that goes up to that time period in 2017. I mean, Franco De Nicola, in my interview with him, he gave out a nice little outline of what he sees to be in around the time period when around 2017 it'll be 5D consciousness. So the whole thing about ascension, whether or not it's a good or bad word to use, and what you see in regards to ascension in the coming years and what you see for 2017.
Didn't we have that sort of whole thing in 2012? Weren't we supposed to have all that in 2012? So now we moved to 2017?
Like I said, dates are all screwed up. Well, some people, we remember back in like 2008, 2009, I remember like Project Camelot, they were interviewing some people who were predicting the future, and they said, we see a catastrophic timeline around 2012. Well, that didn't happen. Like Andrew Bashago, government whistleblower, time travel, he said that around like 2013, in the future, he saw the Supreme Court building when he was in the DARPA time travel program under many feet of water, the Supreme Court building was, but that was in a negative timeline, so that didn't happen. And it has been said we are on a positive timeline now. The Archon control system, it's cannibalizing itself. And but the thing is, people want it to happen sooner than it's going to happen. And some people say like 2017, like I remember you mentioned earlier in this interview, the year 2023. I mean, some people are obsessing about Pluto in Capricorn, but Pluto in Capricorn, that's only true with tropical astrology. If you go by sidereal astrology, like my guest Ethan Chimenti talked about on my show, Pluto is not in Capricorn, it's in Sagittarius. So we're still due for some great things. So he would say like 2017, that's a little too soon. So like not all astrology is created equal. Not all time periods for ascension are going to be created equal. People are going to give different times, like 2017, 2023, whatever it is. What do you have to say about it?
Ascension won't happen. No ascension. All of that is a lie and tricks. They do want, the astral timelines do want to create an event with the help of CERN to kick us into another time loop, which would be the positive timeline, but it still would be an astral timeline. But it won't happen because in 2013, the Earth timeline, what I started to call Earth timeline, had activated. There is no ascension on Earth timeline. And this is what basically elite and all the spiritual communities are struggling with right now. And this is why they're all sort of shaking their heads and don't know why ascension didn't happen, because Earth's timeline had activated. And that was it. They can't have control over Earth's timeline because it's an organic timeline. And so all of that stuff, even the positive ascension, negative ascension, none of that can come sort of to exist anymore, even though they're trying. And their time limit to try to make the ascension happen is 2017. And the reason for that, because what ascension is there's portals that need to be open, and they're open from 2012 to 2017, where through those portals, through astral and alien technology, what they can do is flip us into another time loop. And this is what they're trying to do. This is what, CERN is part of that whole agenda. And then, you hear some people talking about portals opening, ascension portals. Well, that's the same portal as CERN is trying to open. It's one same portal. So, but it won't happen. I've said that, and many people have said that the CERN will fail. And their next move that they're trying to, because they still want to use this time window to actually make it happen, although they've been unsuccessful. This is what happened with CERN on December 21st of 2012. It was all working, but it broke. And I know many people in Ascension community, they had no idea that CERN and Ascension portals and CERN portal is one and the same thing. To this day, a lot of people don't realize that, they might even talk against CERN, but they don't realize that on a higher level, they're actually working for one and same agenda and one and same outcome. So because this time loop cannot get activated, we're not going to have ascension. And I know a lot of people want that ascension, but I'm sorry, it's not going to happen. Well, I'm not sorry that it's not going to happen, because I'm very excited about the planetary timeline, because this timeline is not going to have a draconian hierarchy in every layer of our lives, because everywhere we turn and all of our lives are built around the harvesting agenda. Everything we do, the churches, even, you look at the language, our language is all draining our energy. Everything is draining our energy. And on this Earth timeline, this is just, they cannot, because there is no hierarchy. And unless you become one and equal with all creation, you will not be able to move on this planet and live on this planet. But it's going to take time to clean up all this mess that was created by this spiritual hierarchy and, and physical. Because we have to understand, all of our leaders on the planet, they are, well, they're not human anymore. They've been taken over, and they're not there anymore as a human being. It's just a shell through what the other beings are, controlling the physical level of this planet. I know it's sad and it's scary for some people to say, oh my goodness, everybody on the planet that is in any kind of leader position is possessed. Yes, they are, but we can fix that and we can change that. But if we don't want to realize that, if we don't want to see things for what they are, if we want to be in denial about that, then we're not going to be able to change anything.
Thank you very much, Lily. I want to revert to your chart here, talking about 100% human incarnates on the planet. 96.7% alien races, 7 draconian race lines, 5 Anunnaki race lines, star seeds, and then on the other one it says 3.33% Earthlings incarnate via planetary organic core, gypsy souls. First of all, looking at the one on the right here, Draconian and Anunnaki race lines. It has been said that like around 450,000 years or so, the Draconians and the Anunnaki, they made an alliance of sorts to work together on planet Earth, and around 300,000 years ago, they genetically engineered humans. And, well, first of all, just to clear up the confusion, Anunnaki, there's a little debate over who that term refers to. Some people say it's not just the Anunnaki from Nibiru that Zechariah Sitchin talks about. The term Anunnaki actually refers to a hodgepodge of extraterrestrials who are the children of a universal geneticist entity known as Anu. Is that right?
Yes. Anunnaki, that we don't have a pure Anunnaki souls here on the planet at all. And I went into that in my first interview with Lisa Harrison in the round table. In a little bit more details, but I'll just quickly say that there is no pure Anunnaki souls that are incarnated on the planet. Everything has been mixed with Draconian. We have most of the power is held by pure Draconian groups. It's an Anunnaki frequency, and but they're hybrids. They're not pure Anunnaki. And you're right, there is a lot of different Anunnakis, and they're sort of, there's a bird beings, there's fish beings, there's so many different Anunnaki genetics out there. I hope that helps to answer that question.
Yeah, it does. All right, switching gears, I want to get back to this whole thing about Earth's future. Bashar, AT contactee Daryl Anka, he channels a higher version of himself known as Bashar. I had a chance to speak to him at the N5D conference in Los Angeles in January 2014. And I asked him about Earth's future, and I talked to him about how like people like Andromeda Council contactee Tolek have said that Earth in the Earth's core in January 2014, it is officially an 4D core, and over the course of time, Earth will evolve into a 4D planet. And I told him, when will we eventually become in the fourth dimension, where we can do all sorts of other good things that fourth dimensional beings get to do, like eat less, sleep less, and not have to have sex to reproduce. And Bashar told me, you already are in the fourth dimension. Do you mean the fourth density? And, this raises the whole question of what's the difference between dimension and density, because some people use those terms interchangeably. Other people say there is a distinct difference between the two. But anyway, before I get back to that, Bashar told me in regards to what he sees for the future, he said humanity will remain in physicality for about another 1,000 years. In that time, you will move in and out of different densities. You can think of densities, you can think of a dimension as a country, and different densities as states within that country. And in the 1,000 years that remain in physicality, we will move in and out of different densities. Since I brought that to your attention, do you have any comment on what Bashar is talking about?
Well, I don't like that terminology because, and even though it might make sense, I've agreed with some of the things he's saying, that yes, we're going to be in physicality. And in fact, we are right now working at 3% of capacity of our whole body intelligence is 3%. Imagine what's going to happen when we turn our whole 100% of our full body intelligence on. That's being in physical, but that doesn't have no dimensions or density. It is an internal source creation, which means everything working in oneness within your body first. Your spirit, your soul, your physical, your emotional, your mental bodies are all working at once together. What people are talking about 4D, and I, it might sound harsh, but that's an astral trick. This is a harvesting agenda, because 4D is it. If you remember what I said, 12D is the first grade, and then you go to a 3D. This is the 12th grade. When you graduate high school, you don't go back to 11th grade. Or some people talk about us becoming an 12D light beings. When you finish high school and pass the exam, do you go back to first grade, or do you move on to college? This is the trick that the light beings that do want to extended light reality for themselves and want people that are on self-sacrifice path to give them their energy so they can be their light beings. Because some of those light beings are still 12G light beings, meaning they're the first grader. And they're telling us in 3D here that we've been through so much of light experience. We've been through it. We are passing exams to graduate high school. But the first graders want our knowledge and our experience for themselves. This is why they want to harvest us and tell us, well, you ascend and you become us. Well, it's not you. What you're going to do is you're going to feed them your soul. You're going to sell your soul to them, and then you're self-sacrifice. You're going to become as a being. You're not going to have any memory, and eventually people that had sold their souls to this being will eventually go space dust. They be just space dust. So about Bashar, I don't hear him a lot, but from what you told me, seems like there's a little bit of truth in it. But then this dimensions and all of that stuff, that's all more separation. There's none of that on Earth's timeline. None of that. Because most of those systems with the 4D and 5D and 12D and all of that stuff, that's all extended light reality, which means you are on a harvesting organic quantum path, and you're going to self-sacrifice yourself. It's not going to be, and then you also were talking about some other people that are talking about the future that we're going to have, that we don't, it sounded like, it's we're going to become more robots. That's also not online. It's going to be the other way around. We're going to become a lot more organic, and we're going to have a more of our intelligence through our body available to us, because we would connect to the planet, and it will be full-on connection with this planet, meaning that you can get any kind of information or the planetary level through your body, because we're tuned into a life force that is within us, that is given to us by this planet, which is connecting us to the planet full-on. I know there is a lot of people are out there that talking about this future that sounds very robotic. I don't know if humanity, true humanity, actually wants to be a robot. I don't. I'm going to speak for me, but I'm sure a lot of people will say, no, we've done a lot of this mental reality, and look where it got us. We're so disconnected from the planet, from everything that's alive. We are already robots. We don't acknowledge other life on the planet. I want to go the other way. I want to become more alive, and I want to learn how to be one and equal with this planet.
Well, let me ask you, when you talk about being more robotic, a little bit of a confusion there as to what you're talking about. I mean, it's been said the powers that be, they want to replace humanity with robots. They want to microchip us and take away our free will and make us robots and all, like even make us like a cosmic war machine, galactic empire, like to colonize space for evil purposes. But when you say robotic, I mean, are you talking about how other people say, like, we're going to have bodies that are more crystalline, more light-like we won't have to eat as much, we won't have to sleep as much, we won't have to have sex to reproduce, we can communicate through other senses besides our five senses? Like it said, we have like 360 senses, but we've been so suppressed into five-sense reality and a little bit of the sixth sense that people talk about, like you can tell if someone is staring at you, they say that's a sixth sense and all that. But like, what exactly do you mean by robots? Because you're confusing some people there.
It's where we operate strictly from our mental body, and our mental body is connected to the astral levels, and the astral levels are running programs through our mental body. And so this is what people want. They want, they say, well, communicating telepathically would be a great thing. But if it's mind to mind, that's a robotic thing, We used to, even take a few hundred years ago, look at the natives here in America, the way they lived with the land. The elites and the spiritual hierarchy on the planet, all the religions, they don't want us to live in harmony with the planet. They want us to conquer the planet, to enslave the planet, and service us. This is where all these mental programs are play a role. And this is where people disrespect the land that they're walking on. And then for that, they do become robots because they don't acknowledge any life. And then they become dead themselves. They become the programs, walking and talking program. And elites want to do that because elites, there is no humanity in them. They're working the astral agenda. They just need a shell through what they can enter into. And because they're so disconnected from source, all those beings that are out there, they need bodies. They need bodies. This is why this is a huge harvest of humanity. It's because they need these bodies, and they want to clone us and figure out how to put a being into a clone body and all of that stuff. And yeah, they don't want us to organically, have children and have it, like in the old days and have, this balance and harmony with the rest of the life on the planet. That's not their interest. And it's also not in the ascension community. That's not their interest either. They don't want to stay on this planet. All these people that wanted to ascend, they want to get off this planet. Where are they going to go? Where do they want to go? Are they going to go into some kind of ship or what?
Well, since you ask that, I might as well tell you about my interview with Ray Kusalandich, who talked about, he says 2017, his ET contacts are telling him that will be a time of great change for humanity, where the ETs will show themselves on a public level. And among other things, people will have the ability to choose whether or not they want to leave the 3D prison planet matrix of Earth, or if they want to remain 3D like humans. But if they want to remain 3D humans, they will have to go to some other planet in order to continue living as 3D humans. All the people that want to ascend, for lack of a better phrase, they get to stay on Earth, but they're going to live a much more pleasant life. And by the way, I am going to be having Andromeda Council contactee Tolek on my interview on January 15th. I definitely plan on addressing some of this stuff with him. I mean, a lot of people have criticized him because he said that we were going to ascend into 4D Earth in January 2014, and that did not happen. And he flat out said, well, excuse me, don't blame me. I was only telling what my ET contacts told me, and they operate on a different sense of time that we do. Their sense of time is different than ours is, and we were not on that timeline. And the reason we were not on that timeline is because the creator gods at the top, they decided humanity wasn't ready to go into 4D where they could do all the lovely, joyous things that 4D humans can do. If anybody wants to learn about all the lovely, joyous, wonderful things that 4D humans can do, check out Alfred Weber's interview with Tolek on Alfred Weber's YouTube channel where he talks about that. It was in 2011, but Tolek himself has said his Andromeda contacts have told him the same thing that Ray Kustalanich's contacts have told him, that in 2017 things are going to be different. Humanity will have a choice. Those that want to remain 3D can go somewhere else and live their lives, and those that want to be 3D will live on Earth, and it'll be a much joyous life. Now, I know I said earlier in the interview, I don't want people to think, oh, the ETs are going to save us, because that might cause people to act like couch potatoes and do nothing and think the ETs are going to save them. But still, I have to address this with you, and when I have Tolek on my show, I'm definitely going to have to address some of the stuff that you've talked about in this interview here about ascension not being real and all, because one thing I take very seriously on this show is addressing contradictory statements made by people in similar areas of research. So, Lily, all this stuff about what people are saying about how we have a choice in like the 2017-2023 time period, what do you have to say about all this?
Well, none of that, again, will happen. You know, that ETs showing up and all of that stuff. The reason why all those people that predicted that ascension, they were all wrong, because they were predicting the harvesting agenda, and they really did not have any clue that the Earth timeline is going to activate. And this is why all the ascension dates were off. And you know what? They will scramble right now and give new dates, because they're waiting for CERN to sort of, do its thing so that ascension, which is harvest, can actually happen. It won't happen because the Earth timeline is active. And the only things that are not going to have a choice to stay on the planet, and the only people that's going to have a choice to either is they will go off to their, inorganic planets. They can go to their Saturn thing and be there, or they can go to their astral levels. But the planet, the physical level of the planet, has chosen humanity. And the reason why none of this clowns, that I call them clowns, is that the alien races and all the spiritual hierarchy having their way with the planet, the reason they're failing and the reason why things are not happening is the way they predicted is because humanity had chosen an Earth timeline already. And all we needed is 10% of those alien races that are incarnated, people that have those souls from all these other planets and all these other realities. They have chosen to take an organic path with the planet. And that choice has already been made by the planet. So no matter how many more predictions they can give, none of it's going to come true. Because even though their ET contacts is telling them, okay, we have plans to activate this on this date and on this date, but they keep failing. And they're going to keep on failing. And humanity, they're organic humans, and they're in control. If we even thinking, just think about how many predictions all these different ET groups have given, and none of it came true. Why is that? That means that the planet and humanity that chooses other paths is a lot more powerful. And this is what humanity and this planet will not allow ET take over. They might stage one. It's very much a possibility. But the planetary stargates are all closed. And for as long as the planet stays at 23.4 degree tilt, the stargates will be closed. The invaders don't get in. So the humanity does have a chance to choose the organic path with the planet. So, I mean, they can predict all they want, you know. We already been through 2012 and, 2014. Now it's going to be 2017, you know. 2017 is just the peak. The one thing that's going to happen in 2017 is all these people are going to be revealed for their lies, because none of the ET groups or astral beings or any spiritual hierarchies, none of the archangels tell you the whole truth. They'll give you a little bit of the truth. And because this grandma used to say, the person, some of these people just call them snakes. It's not because they're biting you or anything. It's just, she said, when a snake wants to come from point A to point B, it is incapable going from point A to point B in the straight line, meaning given the truth. It only has to go in side to side. This is what is happening with all these astral beings and all ETs. They cannot, and they are not capable, giving humanity a straight truth. It is always manipulated, always. I have researched and read so much of it. I haven't come across much of anything over there that is not manipulated, that comes from astral levels or from ETs. Always manipulated. Always half truth from here, half truth from there, and it's never a straightforward truth.
Well, thank you for giving your take. I'll definitely re-listen to this whole thing and take notes on that, and I'll bring it to Tolek's attention when I have him on my show. I'm not going to create any. I promise not to create any sort of a conflict between you and Tolek or Reiko Solana or any of those other people. I just need to bring this up for the sake
I'm already
of
in conflict with 99% of the people that's out there. So, and that's okay, because in 2013 I have called some people out by name, and I've just recently called out publicly on Simon Peart, and I called him out on his lies and his manipulation.
Well. I'm going to have him on my show.
I'm not afraid of being in conflict.
Now I have no choice with you what he has lied about. I'm not. Maybe I will tell him that you told me this when I have him on my show. But you know what? I said I expose things made by people in contradictory areas of research. What is he wrong about? I'm not sure he's lying. He's just been misled, I'm sure, is what you're trying to say by his manted contacts.
Yes.
What is? Please, by all means, tell me. And by the way, call her in the queue. As soon as this is done, I promise to get you on the air if you want to get on the air. Okay,
I don't have, it's nothing personal. It's just that these people, nothing personal against Simon, it's just, he's a mantis being. Mantis are hybrids, draconian hybrids, and they're the sort of the slaves, the soldiers that do all the sort of work for the pure draconian races. So he's serving pure draconian races, which are harvesting our human energy and harvesting our planet Earth. That's what he's doing. He has probably no awareness of that he's being used and abused by the system, that he's been used and he's doing exactly what they want him to do. We have to understand this controlling system, this system that is installed on the planet, in every level of it has been infiltrated with the harvesting agenda. And so you gotta ask yourself, if Simon didn't work or didn't please the harvesting system, the draconian harvesting system, would he be able to be on every radio show and speak freely about it?
Well, why do you find that so hard to believe? I mean, let me jump in here and say that some people like Cliff High have talked about how certain people, if you kill them or if you interfere with them, then it's going to cause bad karma on a massive scale. Like, let me give you an example from history. Gandhi when the British murdered Gandhi, it only enabled India to gain a lot more independence a lot faster, because Gandhi, he had become so in tune with his higher consciousness and become such a leader for the sake of freedom that killing him caused karma on a massive scale, which caused India to become more free. And Cliff High has actually said that David Icke is the Gandhi of our time. I mean, some people might debate whether he would be the right person to call the Gandhi of our time, but they say that if they were to murder David Icke, the powers that be did, then a similar thing would happen to most of humanity, that they would allow for freedom to expand a lot faster and a lot quicker. And like maybe Simon Parks, he's only able to get on these shows and participate in political discussion and all because he's got a lot of spiritual help backing him to make sure that if they kill him, karma is going to come back to bite them. And also maybe in the higher dimensions, there is a war going on between the people that are trying to help him and the people that are trying to control him, to make sure that, well, who's going to win in the end, we don't know. But I'm just saying that I don't see why it's so crazy to believe that if someone has a lot of spiritual help by good ETs or good entities, that they can do all the things that they're doing and not get killed or get kicked out of politics like he is and all the other things. So why do you find it insane to believe he's doing what he's doing?
There is no, the ETs that are supposedly good, they interfere, trying to be positive. That is also an invasion in disguise. And this is what's going on. There's a big lie that is propagated here on the no help that is good help for us. You know, I just went through a holographic kinetics course, and with Steve Richards. I don't know if you know of him or not, but that course, I mean, it makes it really clear there is no good help out there. The good help always brings a parasite into your field. And most of the time it's draconian parasite that comes in as help, but what it does is this is what Simon does. I mean, he tells people that he can help people to get rid of implants and all of that stuff. I mean, and I've called him out on it. It's not, he's not getting rid of that from people. He actually retrieves when people want their free will, use their free will, and not to feed the parasites. I mean, he retrieves those for draconians. He openly talks about working for draconians. He is a Mentis being, but Mentis are hybrids. They're draconian hybrids. And the thing is, you can have the best intentions, but if you don't understand that the spiritual hierarchy, there is a positive side and the negative, and they always fought, and they will fight, because that beat on. This is why everything in our life is always in friction, because through that friction we feed astral levels. This is why there is light versus darkness. This light versus darkness that's created, it's extreme duality, and it's reverse polarized. So it is creating not harmony, but friction. And that friction is what feeds astral levels. So this is what Simon does. He goes around and talking about this side is bad, that side is good. So there's friction. There's emotional friction within people, and that emotional friction is what feeds astral levels. Just that little part right there, it shows you that it is astral agenda that the person is working. And there's a lot of people, they have good intentions, but they have no idea that they are working for these beings that trick them too, and they've been lied to, because that's how spiritual hierarchy works. It's all compartmentalized, and they don't know what they're doing. They think they're doing this for the good of humanity, but they don't, because everybody on the planet, all the religions and all the governments are being taken over, and they're not working for the good of humanity. They're working for the good of themselves, for those beings that are possessing them and living through them. Every person that's out there in the high, government and I mean, every person that walks on the planet right now has some kind of astral parasite in them. And Simon does not reveal that, does he?
No, he does not. Hold that thought. Well, I guess we'll get back to that. I do have some things on my mind I wanted to address about that. But first, I don't know if this caller is just listening. I'll find out if they were. But area code 707, you are on the air. Welcome. How you doing? What's your name? Where you're from? Hello? Area code 707, you are on the air. I'll take it you are just listening. All right, never mind then. All right, so since I got that out of the way, you mentioned there are people that are on this planet that have good intentions but don't realize they're working for bad people. Could Nikola Tesla have been one of those people? I seem to remember Patricia Corey, who I had a guest on my show. I didn't get a chance to talk about this in my interview with her, but I believe in her interview with Alfred Weber, she talked about how her Syrian contacts have told her that Nikola Tesla, even though he did have good intentions for humanity, the ETs that were controlling him, they actually did not have good intentions, and they intended to use all of his sophisticated technology to manipulate Earth in bad ways, just like maybe how CERN is using its technology to manipulate Earth in bad ways under the guise of doing good for humanity. So do you think maybe the same thing was true with Nikola Tesla?
Yes, it is very similar, and we are, as human beings, that Tesla coil. That's how our energy works, and basically through that, yes, it's been hijacked. This is his work. Yes, he had an absolutely a great intention, a pure intention to help humanity. But this is the thing, because when we're living under this infiltrated every level of our life, it just, that's what they do. That's what they do. And the draconian system is so clever with it. And they do it so quietly and so sort of, in this way where it's just so subtle. You don't even realize. And yes, of course, Tesla technology was taken over and it was used, and so is many other things. How many people in New Age know the fact that it's Kissinger who created religion? How many people in New Age know that? How many people in New Age understand that December 21st of 2012 Ascension portal was brought to us by CERN, was supposed to be brought to us by CERN? Not many. People don't want to know the truth. They want to believe the good intentions, and they don't understand what's driving behind that. Because how are these draconian lords and all this control system? How else will they get our permission? We have to willingly give our energy to us. How tricky do they have to get? Very tricky. And having good intentions with people, having good intentions that are given to them by these beings, and ETs and all of that stuff, they're gullible. They don't understand that there is an agenda behind that. People that want to help humanity, or ETs, or any group outside of our reality that want humanity to succeed, will not intrude a bit on humanity's path. They will not intrude the free will choice.
Well, that does make sense, but I want to sort of claim that a contradiction of sorts has been brought up by Sunfire. Sunfire is the contactee for a group of ETs known as the Galactic Federation of Planets. She, I remember saying in an interview once, said that the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster in Japan, the ETs are working to keep that radiation level in check. And in my interview with Alfred Weber, he actually said that Fukushima radiation, it is actually a global extinction event. We are totally screwed, and the reason we're not totally screwed, according to some people like Sunfire, is because there are ETs trying to keep the Fukushima radiation in check. Now, people are going to hear that and also hear what you say about how no ET help for us is good help and say, well, how can no ET help for us be good help when there's ETs that are keeping Fukushima radiation in check? So are you saying that the way that they're keeping Fukushima radiation in check so it doesn't fry us is somehow not of help to us? It doesn't make many sense to some people.
Let's go beyond it. How was that whole disaster was created?
How was it created? Well, there's a little debate there. George Kavassilas said he doesn't think it was weather modification technology. He said that the Earth's axis actually tilted a little bit before the earthquake, and then the earthquake happened after the Earth's axis tilted, so that was a manifestation of the Earth's axis tilting. However, Alfred Weber, he said, we've identified the HARP system that was used to cause the earthquake, and it was not the one in Alaska, it was one in the South Pacific. However, in my interview with John Lear, he said that it was bombs underneath the ocean, and there was actually no earthquake. There was no shaking. He said you couldn't see any shaking on the camera. It was just the tsunami. There was no actual shaking of the ground. It was just bombs causing a tidal wave. And let me take this a step further, that David Icke, in an interview that he did on some foreign European news channel, I think it was back in 2011, 2012, talked about how cameras that were put into the Fukushima plant, they looked like a certain type of bomb. The design was very, very similar to a certain type of... No, excuse me. The cameras... excuse me, what am I saying? The explosion was very similar. That you saw the Fukushima plant was very similar to a certain type of bomb, and these cameras that were brought into the plant, they looked exactly like that type of bomb. The cameras looked like the bomb, and the explosion looked like that kind of bomb, and the explosion, it could be determined, was set off at maximum capacity. So this raises the whole question of, was it a natural caused event? Was it a staged event? Was it an earthquake? Was it not an earthquake? Were those cameras like some sort of a bombing device? I mean, so who knows what caused Fukushima, or was it a little bit of this, a little bit of that? So what do you have to say about this whole thing?
Well, it was staged. And just like what does David Icke says, it's the great problem solution, and then they create the problem, they create the solution. So being very short about this, because it's a long talk how that whole earthquake was created, and so then all of a sudden there was a big problem that was created, and same sources, I'm going to go ahead and say this publicly, same sources that created that problem, now creating the solution and telling humanity, oh, we are trying to keep it down and we are protecting it. So then humanity can look to them as their saviors, as believe me, that is not a protection of humanity. If you wanted to protect humanity, then you shouldn't have created that in the first place. And the reason why, and that goes back to what Kavassilas was talking about, the tilt moving. They needed to open stargates. And to do that, to open stargates so they can come in with their ships and all of their stuff and create those ascension portals, they needed to move 23.4 degree tilt of the planet back to 0 degrees so it can reopen those stargates. This is what the whole thing was about, and this is why they're trying to mess with the planet so much to move the planetary tilt, because they need to open those stargates to fully invade this planet. And so they've created the problem. And on top of that, Russian government also claimed responsibility for creating that. There is a lot of a little bit of a sort of separated information that is there of what created that. But when you look back on all of that stuff and connect the dots, it connects to all of those to one agenda, is moving the tilt of the planet to open stargates so they can come in and invade our planet. This is the big agenda. And so now they're playing with humanity, creating a problem and then creating a solution. This is, I mean, we see this in politics. We see this, you were just talking in the beginning from your news segment. I mean, they create a problem to get a certain reaction from people, and then they're going to come up with a solution. But that solution is not for humanity's benefit, because that problem was created to get a certain outcome from humanity. This is how much they need our human energy, because they are, in astral levels, they are completely cut off from source energy. And they can only get this from us. And this is why the reason why they haven't pulled off most of humanity, because they haven't been able to activate this harvest time. And they're still trying to do this by 2017. But I'm telling them that they're going to fail again. And the only thing that's going to happen with all these people that predicting the future from astral point of view and from ET saying, and I said this with, sorry, I have a little bit weird sense of humor, but what I was going to tell these people that are predicting and working for this agenda of activating this astral timelines and opening portals and stargates and going through ascension is, if you are famous and people know you, by 2017, you better have some money saved up for your plastic surgery, because you will need it, because you would want to hide your face from humanity. Because humanity by 2017 will start realizing that we've been fooled. We've been fooled, and we had this script written out for us, and we were supposed to be a good slaves that followed that script and brought on all this disasters and all of that. Human beings are very, very powerful. We have so much power within us. We just don't know about it. So because we don't know about it, we give it away for free, for nothing, to these beings, because they told us that they want to help us. And we're supposed to trust their words. Let's look at their deeds. Let's look what is happening. And so if we wanted to look at, okay, they're protecting from, radiation from escaping, who created that whole disaster in the first place? That's my question to people to ask themselves.
Well, just so you're not confusing everybody, you say who created it. Like I'm sure that Sunfire would say, well, the bad guys created it, but my good ET contacts are the ones, they didn't create it, they're trying to stop it. Are you saying that she's confused?
Well, because the good and the bad, again, the good ETs and the bad ETs are again working the same agenda, and there is a connection even on that level. It's sort of like, when somebody gets arrested and somebody plays a good cop and somebody plays a bad cop, and they go in and they try to, they have a same agenda. These two cops have same agenda. Same thing goes for good ETs and bad ETs. It's just that, one cycle, one plays a good cop, the other cycle, the other one plays a good cop. They need this because they need to enslave us, giving them the energy. This is this whole, good ETs versus bad ETs is all about. The same two cops. It's just they decide one cycle who's going to play a good cop and who's going to play the bad cop. I know it's harsh for a lot of people that believe all of that stuff, but we have to, if we as humanity will take our power back, we need to start questioning everything and look beyond words. that somebody just said, okay, ET said this and this and that. Should I believe that, or should I look deeper? I think humanity, is time for us to look deeper at this and look at it honestly. I know that it's hard, and a lot of people rather be in denial that, that we've been manipulated and we've been used and abused for our energy. And we have to wake up to that if we to take our planet and ourselves back from invaders.
Oh, yeah, and the more people that step up to the plate and want to take it back, the sooner it's going to happen. But I do want to get a little involved in the science behind this whole Stargate thing, because you mentioned Stargate a few times in your in this talk, and I just want to get in a little detail about the who, what, when, where, why, and how of Stargates. Just the live feed for this show will go off in 22 minutes and 25 seconds, but we can go a little past that if you want to finish up some thoughts or something, but that's when the live feed is going to go off, 22 minutes and 20 seconds.
Okay.
So I want to talk about those Stargates for a little bit. Many people hear the word Stargate, but they don't know what it is, what it connects to, where you can find them, and where they're from, and who makes them. So why don't you give us a nice, concise, brief summary on the who, what, when, where, why, and how of Stargates, and maybe we'll see how much time we have left when you're done.
Stargates and pyramid systems is the harvesting of the planet system, and that means like the doors. So Stargates are the doors through what the invaders and those that would like to get some Earth energy come through. And during the harvest time, like in Mayan calendar, you've seen a Mayan calendar before. It signifies a harvest. So we had 5 harvests here on the planet, and this was the last one. And the reason this one was the last one is look at it as like the opening, It's a doorways, or it's, through what beings can come in. But the physical level of the planet, it did the tilt, but the astral levels, where all these other beings are, had stayed in the same place. And so that disconnected those sort of hallways that, had door here on the physical level, and then there was a door into astral levels. And so there's a hallway. And so when one room sort of moved 23.4 degrees, that hallway does not align anymore. This is what happened with Stargates. They're closed that way. And this is actually the conscious, aware being. And our planet has her own path, and she has a free will. No matter what, all those ETs would like her to give up her free will, but they're powerless compared to this planet, because this planet has an organic internal creation source core. And our sun, you were talking about sun earlier, is the externalization of that internal creation source. That's why the sun gazing, which you were talking about, is a very natural thing for us to do as human beings. But anyway, those stargates are closed now. And CERN is trying to do is create sort of a new artificial or replacement sort of Stargate system. This is why they sort of have CERNs all over the planet, and it's all about the portal openings. That's also an artificial portal, is an artificial Stargate. Does that help to understand what Stargates are?
It sure does.
Okay.
Yeah, it took me a while to get off mute there, but yeah, thank you for clarifying that. All right, we got 18 minutes and 55 seconds left on the live feed. All right, it has been said that Earth, its original creation, was as a 7-dimensional seed planet. Now, there's a little contradiction here into what happened to Earth over the course of time. In my interview with Peter Kling last week, he talked about how Earth was a lot smaller than it is now, and over the course of time it would have gotten bigger. However, other people have talked about how Earth was actually a lot bigger than it is now. And I didn't get a chance to address this contradiction with Peter, but among other things, like I said, Andrew Bartz, he's my number one source of information. He says Earth was originally created. I believe it was he said seven. Number was seven. Seven-dimensional seed planet. And the significance behind that is once you get to the seventh dimension, there's no more service to self. Up until the sixth dimension, there is some degree of service to self, but when you get to the seventh dimension, it is strictly service to others. And then when you get to the eighth, ninth, 10th, and so on and so forth, the service to others is much more beautiful and lovely and wonderful than it is in the seventh dimension. So Earth, I guess you could say, it was originally created as an entity where people could learn how to become service to others' entities. And, that plus the whole debate of was Earth a lot bigger than it was now, or was it a lot smaller than it used to be? Because there seemed to be a little debate there. So what do you have to say about the creation of Earth and what was originally created as, and whether it was bigger or smaller than it is now?
The seven dimensions, or the seven astral levels, that's the mental creation of the planet. This is a net, or the seven heavens, or the seven hells, and because the heaven and hell is the same place. That's the net. That's not real Earth. That they would like to take over the physical level. The most important thing is the core of this planet, that a lot of this ETs and the Anunnaki and Draconians, they want that because the power of the core of this planet is unlimited. And so the real Earth created herself. It was not created by anybody. It was created, she created herself. She created herself for the purpose of transformation from external light existence into internal source existence. Although right now it doesn't look anything like that, like it, but we're only been on the planetary timeline for a few years. And the seven levels of the mental, or sort of where the astrals exist, where the souls, after they die, where they go into the recycle bin, that's the seven levels. And this is actually a very different existence from what's going on the actual physical planet. When you take Bible, that's a history of those seven levels. It's an astral level history. It's not so much, there's very little of it that it's actually physical level history. The wars and all of that stuff, it's all amongst angels and all of that stuff, because they're all stuck in astral levels. And it's very real. When you're there, it's very real reality. But the planet, the physical planet, is in oneness with its core. So there is no seven dimensions on the physical level.
Yeah, you said the Bible. I mean, people say the Bible is the greatest story ever told. Well, a story is fiction. Well, you're saying, no, it's not fiction. It's truth, but it's been sort of twisted into making it seem like it applies to the physical world, when in reality, all that stuff is real. Like, I mean, some people would say, like, all the religious figures, like the Greco-Roman gods and Shiva, Buddha, and all the other gods of all the other cultures, they do actually exist, like the Egyptian pantheon of gods too. They all exist. It's just that their stories have been twisted, and the fact that people can think those things means that they exist somewhere, because thoughts manifest. Like some could say Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy. They have to exist, because if enough people believe it, then it will exist in some realms. I mentioned time stream, paradox, whatever word you want to use. Many people use different words for certain things, and like George Kavasilis, he said, I have been to Camelot, I have seen Merlin, and all the rest of them. Well, yeah, I mean, that's going to exist because people are thinking about it, and the fact that people are thinking about it, that conglomeration of thoughts has to cause it to exist somewhere. So I guess we've only got 13 minutes and 20 seconds left to talk about this, and that's nowhere near enough time to get into something as deep as this. But, I mean, if just to help people make sense of this whole thing about whether or not these things do exist and don't exist, or they do exist, but it depends on your point of view and how many people think about it and whether they exist in a dimension, realm, time stream, or whatever. I mean, what do you have to say to help people make sense of all the confusion in this whole thing?
Yes, these beings do exist. They are locked out through the closing of stargates from our physical reality. And they manipulate us through invading our energetic field, through entering into our energetic fields by, all kinds of tricks and moves that they do. They exist. But what I want to say is to each human being, to a person that's listening, you exist. But your life on this planet is about you. It's not about all those beings that can only, by manipulation, enter into our reality. We all know that they can only enter into reality through magic, which means manipulation of energy. But you as a human being, you exist on this planet. This planet has given you a life force. What are you doing with you? Do you value yourself? Do you realize that you are a creation? This is what Earth's timeline is about. It's about you. It's about humanity. Taking a look at our own self instead of constantly looking outside for who is doing what to us. What are we doing to ourselves? We're waiting for ETs to tell us, oh, we weren't good enough for ascension yet, so we got to do a little bit more work or whatever. Do you really think that your value comes from somebody that can't even come into your physical reality? Your value is you. Your value. Where's your life? Are we experiencing the life in harmony with this planet we're living on? Are we being self-responsible? Or do we look for outside help so we sort of feel then safe to blame somebody else? Okay, the good ETs are helping us, so whatever's going on here, and we are refusing to take responsibility for humanity as a collective, so we're just going to blame the bad ETs. And let's just say they're all this bad, and let's just follow back and forth. Where are we in all this? We are physically on the planet, and we're incredible beings. If we tune in into our life force, if we tune in into our intelligence, we hold the record of this planet in our own spirits within our bodies. And everything, all of that information is stored within us. Where is our spirit in this? Our spirit is incredibly powerful. Where are we in this? If we're going to come out as humanity, we have to value our human part of us, no matter where your soul comes from, be it a starseed or be it whoever you are. I don't care if you're a Draca soul. I don't care if you're a reptilian soul. You are in human body, and this is why you incarnated in human body, to become human. What does it mean to become human? That means you live in harmony with the planet that's giving you the life force. You respect your own life and you respect other life. This is what humans are. And I know there's so much of those non-human information out there. And who's talking about us? Who's saying to us that we have all the power within us? This is who we are. We are powerful beings. We are internal source created beings. We have it all within us. We hold all within us.
Yes, and in the final 8 minutes or so we have left, I guess I might as well ask you to say what you see for the future of humanity, because there's the optimistic and the pessimistic view. And like a lot of pessimists, like Jordan Maxwell, for example, he has often said things like, there is no hope for humanity. The human race is doomed. The people of planet Earth are too paradigmatic, too fearful, too stupid. I equate humans with the animals on the grazing by the river and drinking water by the river in Africa. They're all minding their own business, eating and drinking the water on the river, and then the lions and the other predators come out, and all those animals, they start running away in terror, even though they outnumber the predators 100 to 1, and even more in some cases. They're all screaming in terror and running away, while humans are basically the same thing. And one example people often give is the Orson Welles War of the Worlds radio show broadcast many decades ago, where he said the Martians are coming on the radio, and over 1 million people believed what they heard, and there was chaos in the streets. I mean, that's the pessimistic view, that humans are too fearful, stupid, and lost, and they'll never be able to stand a chance. But other people like George Kavassilis have said, no. Infinite love is the only truth. Everything else is illusion. And George even told me when I asked him about this in my interview with him, he said, I have felt within my heart, soul, essence that Mother Earth is a love-based entity, and that means that the New World Order, they can try as hard as they want, they can come down as hard as they can and hard as they want, but they will never be able to succeed creating global totalitarian government, because on Mother Earth and everywhere else for that matter, because infinite love is the only truth, infinite love will prevail, and any hardships we have to go through, hey, relax, it'll all work out in the end. So what do you have to say about the future of humanity, whether we're screwed or whether it's going to be good? And just, you have 6 minutes and 10 seconds before the live feed goes off. So I'd like to give you maybe 5 minutes, because I do want to tell you something after that.
If we humans take responsibility for ourselves, then we will succeed with this planet. For those humans that don't want to take responsibility and sit and wait for an outside savior to come and save them, they probably will not be able to move on with this planet. So the humanity that's going to be on this planet that will learn to take responsibility and will learn to live in harmony with all life on the planet and with this planet as a being, they will move on with this planet on the path to source, back to source. I am not a big supporter of people to say to people, yeah, we are on Earth's timeline, and so just sit and relax and it's all going to be good. It's all going to be good with the planet. What's going to happen with each individual is going to be up to that each individual. Yes, our fields have been invaded. We have all these external entities that are attached as parasites to every chakra we have, to every little hole in our energetic bodies. And yeah, we were tricked into that, and we might not even have a clue what we have in our energetic field. But if we take responsibility that we have within us, within our spirits, we can clean that up. But first, we need to clean up ourselves, our own energetic field, and then we can clean up the whole collective of humanity. But it starts with us, with each of us. It starts with us. So it's going to be for humanity. There is a choice right now. There is a choice. You can sit and just wait for somebody to come and save you, or you can start working on clearing yourself and healing yourself first. And if you take that healing path, because the planet is supporting the healing path, and she will support those humans that will choose Earth's timeline. This is what planet will support. The reason why what's going on with all this is unraveling and revealing itself is because the planet is also helping in revealing where the manipulations are. So we have to start from ourselves. And we got to be honest with ourselves, because we do have a lot of work to do with our own energy fields. And once we heal ourselves, we will be able to move on to a collective level.
Yes, and don't sit back and act like couch potatoes. Everybody's got to do their part. I'm doing my part with this radio show, as well as some other things that I'm doing. I've made some alterations with my life recently. I'm not going to get into details on that. This show's not about my life story. It's about the nature of reality. But hey, I've noticed some noticeable changes in my life, and I'm sure that many people will as well. Even Alex Jones said that he, Sean Cohen in the chat room, she sent me a radio piece that Alex Jones did about how his spidey sense is tingling. He's saying that he and many of his InfoWars gang is having their sixth sense taking control of them, and saying that something big is about to manifest. And if a lot of people feel that, then there must be some truth to it. So I don't know, folks. I don't know. A lot of people say September is going to be a big month because of like the prophecy about the super Shemitah and the asteroid hitting the Earth, and like Matt Kahn, who interviewed Helene Lipson, said that 9/28 lunar eclipse is when 1/3 of humanity will resonate with 5D consciousness. Although Neil Kramer, in my interview with him, he said he doesn't see how that much of humanity can be awake by that time. But I don't know. We'll just have to.
Yeah, and all of that is connecting also to CERN days. So again, here's that connection of ascension and CERN.
Right.
So for people that, I know that a lot of us put a lot of years into following a positive side and hoping for a great outcome for ascension, for, heaven on earth and all of that stuff. But we're not going to achieve that by denial and not lifting the veil of separation. The veil of separation is between positive and the negative. If you find a way and connection to the positive with the negative, because it's always opposite, meaning it's the same energy, it has the same source. When you connect that, you will be able to see a much bigger picture. And that's not because it's going to hurt you, no. Truth hurts sometimes. But if we to make changes, we have to be honest what is been happening in our physical reality. We have to take it to pieces, take it apart, and be honest about it. And only when we look at it truthfully and honestly can we make changes. Because seeing the truth will empower us. And no matter how many times people tell you that you are powerless and we need help, I am telling you, I've experienced a little bit of my own human power. It is incredibly powerful. And this is what gives me the courage to come to shows like yours, Andrew, and say what I know and say what I feel and tell humanity that we are the most powerful beings on this planet. We need to take our power back. Enough feeding all these outside sources. Let's be human. This is why we're incarnated here on the planet, to be human.
Well said, Lily. Well said. All right. Well, that is the end of the show. The live feed just went off about 20 seconds ago, so I'm going to bring the show to an end, and I'll do that by telling you the same thing I tell all of my guests. Lily, you are a fascinating individual. I loved having you on, and I have no doubt that if I wanted to, I could do another show with you. But one of my goals with this radio show is to get as many different guests on my show as possible before giving any one specific guest double dips, as I feel that is the fairest, most impartial, and ultimately the most informative way of doing a radio show that seeks to expose the true and false nature of reality for what it is and what it isn't. So that means that I regret to say I probably will not be asking you to come on my show again, but that's only because I need to give thousands of other fascinating individuals a chance to have some glory on my show. But I promise you I will spread this interview far and wide, upload it to YouTube, and make sure that it gets seen by a lot of people, because a lot of people need to hear this. And there was a lot of contradictory stuff in this interview that people have heard from other people, and I'll definitely address that with people like Simon Parks and Tolek when I have them on my show. I'll be nice about it. I won't cause a conflict, but it has to be done for the sake of people understanding the nature of reality.
Yes, you're just a messenger. Everything is me. It's my words, and I know that I am a contradictory, and so it's but I give you warning, and so you were warned that my stuff is a little bit different, and I say what I feel. So thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate being on your show.
I love having you as a guest. Take care, Lily. Take care. Namaste. Later. Folks, next week it's going to be Bruce Maccabee, a former military personnel who has a lot of experience with UFO research and such. Saw him in a presentation on the UFO TV YouTube channel. Going to have him as the guest next week, Bruce Maccabee. So tune in for that, a UFO-based show, a lot of military stuff as well. So this is Andrew Fisher signing off. Nature of Reality Radio has come to an end today. Enjoy the rest of your trek throughout infinite consciousness, everybody.